and welcome to the Beware of the Dog podcast, formerly
Knuckle Sandwich.
And I'm your co-host, Henry Jimenezki, with my buddy
Manny Roman.
And today we're going to focus first and foremost on a little bit of MMA, some of the news that's been happening in the last couple weeks. We've been away from you guys for a couple weeks now, and then we're going to transition to some of the action that's been going on the mats in Quintet, European trials with ADCC, and then most recently last night at Polaris. So let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right. A couple weeks ago, we posted a couple techniques from Noche. I know Manny doesn't necessarily want me to bring me back to that to that bad memory, but
Did you say bad memory?
bad memory. So if you guys did catch it, we did a quick rendition of a gator roll off a front head. Actually, it was off of sprawl into an anaconda choke, and I swear to you guys, it was not rehearsed. And unfortunately, as we were doing the technique, one of our fellow training partners recognized that Manny, aside from the fact that Manny was snoring a little bit, one of our training partners recognized that maybe Manny might have been sleeping, or not. I don't know, maybe it was an acting job on your part.
I was just acting. Effect, I call it.
Yes. Realistic effect, if you will.
I'm hoping to get some kind of award for that performance.
It was very well done. But I think that just goes to show the power of some of these techniques.
100%. I mean, it was so tight, man. It was weird because it got tight before it was supposed to get tight.
Yes.
And so I was like, initially I put up my hand getting ready to tap.
Yes.
In preparation, because it was like, I have to let him get through the end of the technique. But I'm like, man, this is getting real tight. And as soon as I went for the tap, my arm went limp.
Yes, yeah, it got bad really quickly.
So I tried to make it look like old school WWE.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. But I think, more importantly, it goes to show you from that particular technique. So two things, right? From that particular technique, once it gets locked in from the top, which is what happened in that case, right? They didn't transition. A lot of times, guys will transition from that position. But to the tightness, or to the lock, if you will. But in that case, it was locked up before the roll. And it was locked up tight before the roll. And once it starts rolling, you're so worried about the roll and rolling with the technique that the defense kind of goes out the window. But one thing I also talk about here, and I don't think it's talked about enough, is the importance of your training partner allowing you to apply the technique, whatever it is, right? And not prematurely tapping, because I know you felt it, and Danny, I know I'm sure you felt it as well. I know sometimes when you're drilling with somebody and they're prematurely tapping, and then you look to do the technique in an actual rolling situation, right? You don't know if you had it or not, Or in that case, you don't have it, and then you thought you had it, and now you don't end up getting the tap because of it. Right. Yeah. So, and I know that you are, because we've experienced a similar situation, with you in the past. I think that you really push the limits when it comes to tapping.
You're not gonna know. I'm not gonna know. Do I have an extra second to defend? And the times that I've learned that I didn't have an extra second to defend, now I know where the line is. I've toed it.
Yes, of course. And I think the other side of that is, because of that, a guy will let go of a technique because he thinks he doesn't have it.
It's happened where people
100%
overexert, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm really close to the line here, and then they let go. I'm not gonna sit there for something that's gonna, actually break something.
No.
But in those instances where there might be a choke that I could outstand them a little longer. I'll sit there for a second.
I think too, because of the compactness of your neck and your upper body, I think it makes it harder for guys to lock something in. And you're strong. That you have a strong defense in most places. So I think it makes it really, really difficult for guys to finish. And then when they don't finish, now they're like, oh man. Now, because in that position, if you don't finish that position, you can be put in a really bad position. You can have your guard passed, and now the guy's on top, and now you have to recover from the bottom. So I guess, when you're applying the technique, if you don't get it, you have to, know how to recover the position afterwards.
It just sucks because there's so many times that I've gotten away with not getting put to sleep and having the guard, like passing the guard when they give up. And like you're saying, all those advantageous situations that come about. The only 2 times I've ever gone to sleep have been recorded on a cell phone.
Yes.
So there's evidence of it.
Yes, exactly.
I can't outrun it. So anyways, it hurts my heart, man.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And then I think the other technique from a Noche was the application of the front that guillotine, the standing guillotine.
Yeah.
Which was really locked in beautifully. It was actually like a head and arm guillotine.
It was head and arm.
Yeah, like almost like a Bravo guillotine, head and arm guillotine. So with the length of the arm there, it makes that technique super strong from that position. So it was a good night. I know we're going back a couple weeks, but I think it's worth mentioning how many chokes, especially, were applied and the quality of grappling that was going on there. But I think if we fast forward to more recent events, did you get a chance to watch a little bit of the One Championship that you and I have been hating on the last couple weeks, or what?
I watched. I didn't watch. I watched the. I say watched when I look back at Instagram and pay attention to some of the highlights.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
No, and I think that fortunately for me, I was able to spend a little time and get past the hate. I had a conversation with a training partner of mine, a friend of mine, Mike, little Mikey, and he's a big proponent of One Championship. And I'll tell you what, after watching some of the Muay Thai fights, I see why.
Yeah.
I see why. I think personally, I was hating on it based on the lack of competition for Mighty Mouse, the lack of competition for Mikey Musumeci, and I wasn't paying enough attention to the quality of Muay Thai that they have in their events, specifically the one that I was able to watch last week with Superlek and Rodtang.
Yeah, I did see that.
You did see that match, yeah. I mean, amazing fight. Rodtang, I thought Rodtang pulled it out. He did get dropped in the second.
He lost it, right?
He did end up losing a very, very close match. I thought he definitely inflicted way more damage, and unfortunately he didn't get the win. But I thought they were both equally as active. But it brought me back to, I trained Muay Thai for a couple years. I never fought. So guys, don't be searching Henry Jimenetsky Muay Thai fights because they don't exist. But I did train for a couple years up in North Jersey, and it really brought me back to my training. And I got a little bit of an itch to get back out there a little bit at 45 years old.
Better start using that bamboo stick.
I know. I gotta get my shins back. But no, I mean, as much as I'd like to go back, my focus is obviously grappling. And
dude, I'm gonna die if I drive past your house and you got the Yuri Prohaska thing in the back and you're kicking trees.
Yeah. I got the bands on my arms, and the Muay Thai shorts on. But no, there won't be any training going on. Although I have contemplated, you and I have talked about it, maybe doing some private training for more based on technique. No heavy sparring, and even maybe getting our kids into it a little bit. I like. I think from a self-defense standpoint, obviously we both strongly believe in jiu-jitsu, but I think God forbid they have to stand with somebody. My kids play soccer. Lenny is obviously very active. And I think that to throw a little bit of hands and being able to incorporate the feet and the knees would be a huge thing for them.
It just completes the fighter.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously why MMA is like so. I mean, that's the secret point, the secret sauce at this point. Right?
No question. No question.
You got your jiu-jitsu, you got your Muay Thai, and then wrestling, of course.
Yes.
It's those three to me. They really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
And there's obviously renditions of that. There's like the karate and the taekwondo that gets mixed in there at times, and it's great. Like Wonder Boy's awesome, but he's more of an outlier to me. I don't see as many situations like that.
Yeah.
maybe Machida.
Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing.
Right.
Lyoto Machida had an amazing game. You know, he would strike from the outside, but if he did get inside and he had to go to the ground, he had a nice little Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game.
Yeah.
You know, but I think you're right. I think that was probably the last person, other than Wonder Boy, obviously. But the last, because I think I'd have to go back, but I think Machida had the belt for a brief time, didn't he? He did, yeah. So I think when he was in his prime, you know, he was an amazing. They were the first ones to show the power of a karate style for MMA, an effective karate style.
Connor had a bit of a stance, like he had a karate stance mixed in with a bit of a boxing kind of, I guess, defensive hand placement, right?
Yes, most definitely. The boxing though was huge for him, because that right hand was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely brutal.
That was actually, now that I think about it, like that was pretty interesting the way he positioned himself, you know?
Yeah.
Like he had that wide kind of open stance, but still had like a very good boxing understanding and knowledge. So it made it kind of difficult to get in on him.
No question. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Unfortunately, he never was able to really, although he did get his black belt, which we talked about in our last episode, but he was never really able to round out the, you know, come full circle with his jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, and it could have something to do with who, you know, who some of his Brazilian jiu-jitsu mentors were as well. I won't bring up those names, but you know, I think stylistically and traditionally, some of the guys that were most successful at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA were, you know, they had some serious credentials. You know, with Rodolfo coming in now, you know, and obviously Damian Maia, and even Spider Silva. You know, I think Anderson had an amazing ground game that he used for MMA. You know, but away from one, you know, I'm not hating on them as much as I once was. There was a bunch of great fights. If you guys get a chance to check out their YouTube page, which is nice too. You know, you don't have to pay extra money for another event. You know, obviously if you have Prime for the bigger events, but at least you don't need to buy an ESPN Plus or something of that sort to watch some of their smaller events. And I think I like what they're doing. I don't know if the brutality of Muay Thai is gonna, you know, gain as much popularity as a full MMA event. But if you're not watching it, your guys are missing out. You know, I think that they have some really high level Muay Thai, a lot of elbow usage, a lot of good clinch work, and even some body work. You know, there was a one match. I got to look back at at which one it was, but he finished in the first round with a liver shot. You know, and you know, so these guys are not only using the Muay Thai techniques, but they understand the sensitive areas. You know, in their art. You know, so but either way, check it out if you guys don't get it. If you guys haven't got a chance, check it out when you have a chance. But let's move on to this past weekend's event. Did you get a chance to watch the Fiziev fight?
Oh yeah. I was unfortunate, man.
I know.
I think he was winning.
I think he was still winning too.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I like both of those fighters. They're both great fighters. I was really hyped because it's like,
I know.
It felt a little bit like, you know, two pit bulls in the ring. You know.
Yeah.
Gamrot, so he's just nasty.
Nasty, man. Really nasty.
But I know what an ACL tear feels like, and I've seen that kind of rotational torque on a knee, and
I know.
You know, that's a long recovery. It sucks. I feel bad for him, but you know, he's a game fighter. He is. There's no question. I think he'll be back, and I think he'll be back strong. He had a great run leading up to that.
No question. No, yeah, you know, and it was unfortunate that I think he would have gotten the title shot sooner.
Agreed.
If it wasn't for the fact that his teammate, you know, had the belt. And I think that based on the way that fight was going, there's no question that he probably would have gotten the title shot next.
I really do think that he was on route for sure. I mean, Gamrot's, you know, it's not as much of an exclamation point with that. So maybe they might give Gamrot another one.
Yeah.
Before he.
But who else who do you give him at this point, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's where, like, you know, and maybe he gets Aljamain.
Yeah.
You know, as a little way to come back, because Are they giving? They're not. I don't think they're giving Aljamain the immediate rematch.
Which is weird. Like, why does one person get it and another person doesn't? And it's like, it really does lend an ear to this favoritism talk that they always mention. I'm like, dude, if it's gonna be that way, if you lose your title and you get an automatic rematch, then that's the game.
Yes.
That's the way it's played. If it's you don't but you do, and I don't.
Yeah,
I can't get behind that.
We saw that in the middleweight division with Adesanya and Pieta.
Yeah.
Pieta knocks him out. Granted, Adesanya was winning that fight. There's no question. But Pieta knocks him out, and then in the next fight, I thought Pieta was winning that second fight. I don't know what the way you were feeling. But before he got knocked out, I thought he was kind of was inching towards him. And he was going to get he was going to keep his title in that case.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm usually probably rooting for Pereira anyways because fellow tribesman.
Yes.
But nevertheless, I mean, I think he was showing up a little bit more in that second fight, and I don't know if I'm still not sold that Adesanya was playing possum in that fight.
I'm not either.
I don't think it was possum. I think it was he found that little burst of energy and clipped him, and that's it.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
He threw a couple haymakers and landed one.
Yes. That talk where they were saying that he had been practicing that and this and that, I kind of agree with you in that case. And I think, there's something to be said about Pieta dropping down in weight and the type of cut that he was going through, right?
Yeah. It's a long ways down.
It is, man. And I thought he looked great at light heavyweight, right, in his last fight. And I think that I don't want to come away from that, but I think he's going to give Yuri a tough fight too. I think a lot of people, because Pieta just stepped in that division, I think they're not fronting on him, but I think they're kind of does he have the power and that type of talk. But I think he's already proven already that he's capable of doing really well there. And I think that cut, he was coming down to a division that maybe he shouldn't have been fighting in.
Yeah, he just had some unfinished business. That's all it was.
No question, no question. But I would have liked to see him I would have liked to see the trilogy happen. I think, it wasn't for lack of good fights. Like they both fights were great fights. They were banging out. Both got rocked in both in the first and second fight. But I think maybe there was some, Adesanya is the champ, and we got to show that he's the champ. And I think Strickland proved that maybe he wasn't the champ.
Dude, that Philly box, whatever he did, that style that he's got, man, that's a cool ass style, dude.
It was.
It's so defensively responsible. It's just like he just walked him down.
He did.
There's no amount of possum playing that could have gotten him out of his situation, dude. He got clipped, got laid out.
Yeah.
I was surprised, and it did show the heart that Adesanya had.
No question.
That he didn't, the fight didn't get stopped, and he kind of regrouped himself a little bit there. But that was
he took some close shots. He took some real shots, and but I'm also not gonna. There was a lot of talk that Adesanya wasn't all that great, and there was this different talk afterwards.
About Adesanya, you're saying?
And about Adesanya, but also just in general about former champions. And Adesanya went on an amazing run, and to discredit that, with some of these
trolls.
Yeah, trolls. Yeah, that's the best word.
Schmucks.
That's a better word. I think they, having most of them having never done it before, and I'm not going to say I have because I haven't, but I think you have to give the respect to those that deserve the respect.
Absolutely, Adesanya it's going to go down as one of the best of all time.
No question.
He already is in that position. Just because he lost, I mean, I still talk about Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
One of the highest esteems, and that's how most people remember him. People remember BJ Penn the same way.
Yep.
It's like these guys all lost. There's a day. There's a day that your L comes, but
no question.
What you do leading up to it.
No question.
How did you handle it? Adesanya handled it. Honestly, the way he responded at the end of that's how a champ responds.
No question.
I give him a lot of credit. He didn't go out there talking smack about Strickland or Strickland's game. He's like, he won. You know?
Yeah, and I respect that more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we have our George St. Pierre's who never really got a chance to experience that aspect of things. You know, and that being said, I mean, you started talking about Anderson Silva, you started talking about BJ Penn, and I don't think by any means Adesanya is anywhere near the end of his career.
Oh no,
you know,
definitely not.
yeah.
I'm just saying that when
I know what you
when
mean.
we look back retroactively in the future, you know, we're gonna be like, damn, how about Adesanya?
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you 100%.
For me, he's made it to that list. You know,
No question, no question, and I think that because he talks the way he talks, I think sometimes he's not my favorite fighter. He's not my favorite fighter in that division. But yeah, you know, I can't take away from the fact that he's an absolute, he's a marksman, and he's an absolute killer. And he's proven that time and time again. He's come back.
He's exciting to watch. Man.
Very exciting
and
to watch.
I'm curious. You know what I'm curious about? How much did those two Pineda fights generate in dollars?
Yeah.
Because, you know, what you were saying earlier about wanting to have seen a trilogy, like that could have been a pretty reasonable argument. Been like, look at this. The generation of revenue, because I feel like a lot of people watch that fight.
No question, and to have the first one at the Garden shows you something in itself.
Yeah.
You know, why are you putting a high level or that type of fight in you know, probably the biggest, you know, I mean, that's one of the most important venues in the United States for sure, and arguably one of the most important venues historically in the world. And how are you putting a fight like that on, you know, at a venue like that, and then not having a trilogy? Yeah. You know, knowing, you know, if we're worried about dollars, which we are, obviously in putting on good fights, but good fights put on, you know, give you dollars. You know, why aren't we seeing that fight? So UFC, cut it out, and let's, you know, and at this point, you know, maybe, you know, with the way, with the success of Pieta in the white heavyweight division, maybe they won't show that. Maybe they won't have that fight again.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm, you know, it's past already.
I know.
You know, thinking about it, but I am excited for him and Yuri though.
Me too. I think that's going to be an exciting fight. And you know, fortunately for me, one of my good buddies was able to get me Marcelo. Shout out to Marcelo for scoring some tickets to the Yuri Pieta fight, and by the way, that's not even the main event on that card. That's the co-main.
The main is
what's his name? John Jones and Stipe. Yeah,
that's gonna be a good one.
I know. And Mackenzie Dern and Andrade are on that card as well.
Wait, they're fighting each other.
They are.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that should be another good fight on that card. So I'm excited to be in the building.
Mackenzie put on a performance last time. I'm excited to see her. Her last fight was an absolute clinic.
I couldn't agree with you more. Her grappling is next level, man. Yeah. Absolutely next level. And I'm excited to see her come back. And she's got some stand up. I just feel like
well, the last one was she stood up a lot.
She did.
I was impressed with it because, like, we all know she's got grappling. She sometimes jumps guard way too soon.
She does. She looks to, and she's got some great stand up, wrestling as well to get to the ground. Sure. You know, so you're right. She took some shots, but put it on her as well.
Yeah.
Really, really great fight. So, and then. But coming up before that is in a couple weeks. No.
Next week we have a fight night.
Yes, 2 fight nights in a row, and then we have what was the next? There's another fight coming up in the one we're really looking forward to, the lightweight fight with Makhachev and the rematch.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be amazing, man. I'm really looking forward to that.
I watched the last one at an airport, like waiting to board a flight, and I'm literally like headphones in, just not even paying attention. I almost missed my flight as I'm watching that fight.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that rematch for a while.
Now, are you waiting for it because you didn't think it played out the way you wanted it to?
Well, it definitely didn't play out the way I wanted to. There's no question about that. Now, so yes, that's one of the reasons I think that there could have been. Some other things could have happened to get to a better for him to get to a better place. But I can't take anything away from Makhachev. Going into that fight, I knew it was going to be a tough fight.
They're fighting in the same venue again.
Are they fighting in the same venue? Yeah.
In not Abu Dhabi. No, it's not Abu Dhabi. It's Danny, where's that?
Etihad Arena in Yas Island.
Where is
It's
it?
in United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah.
Was that what the last one was at? I know they had the same. They're in the same part of the world because he was asking to have it in Brazil, and they obviously it's not happening there.
I think though, if being that Makhachev won, I think he calls the shots in that case.
For sure.
I'll check for you guys.
Yeah, let me know. I'm curious as well.
I'm just saying, like, there's so much, like, what do you call it, like, skepticism that could lead up to it, right? Like, it's like, now you got to throw salt over his shoulder a couple times.
Yeah.
Just like the way I was raised, at my house, my mom would be like, oh no, you put your shoes on the couch, now you got to, do 2 turns and do the sign of the cross. I'm like, all right.
I guess that works.
There's always some weird thing that you have to do. And yesterday we were at a party, and my son goes to do a cartwheel, and this woman comes up to me. She goes, "You know what that means?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's just trying to do a cartwheel." And she's like, "No, you have another baby coming." And I'm like, "What?" Every kid tries to do a cartwheel.
Exactly.
It's at the same venue.
The same venue.
It is the same venue.
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's really crazy.
I'm sure, like, Oliveira going into that is going to be like, the PTSD from the moment.
Yes.
Right?
I'm sure that was a rough fight for him. That was a really fight for him. And he had been on what kind of winning streak he was on at that point?
He was on a tear.
Yeah. I mean, with the belt, he was on a tear, and then leading up to getting the belt, he was on a tear. Is that a record? You don't have to do it right now, but was that a record for winning streaks?
I think he had a record. I'm gonna just throw a number out there.
Throw it out there.
It was 11.
I think you're right. Because it was something like almost not unheard of, obviously, but he was winning for a while, and being a Oliveira fan, I mean, he's got to be easily one of my favorite fighters now, for sure, top 5 now, and one of my favorite fighters ever. And to watch him in his younger days, not be a gatekeeper by any means, but to kind of hang in there, right? He was never really early on. He was never he wasn't like a Conor where 3 fights in and he had the belt and he was winning 2, it was something that he did over a course of many years.
It wasn't like a prodigious situation. Like, for me, he's the definition of hard work and talent.
Yeah.
Right?
I couldn't agree more.
He stayed in there, he kept working hard. And I really admire the fact that he, through all the challenges, he continues to come back better. Because that last fight that he had, it looked like an even sharper version of the one we saw before.
Yes. And back to what you were talking about with his hard work, it really shows that he's determined. And some guys let the losses get the best of them. Yeah. And like Kamaru Usman. I'm a fan of Kamaru Usman. I think he's an incredible fighter. He's one of those guys, that I've talked about before in MMA that has really worked on every aspect of his weaknesses and therefore has been a stronger fighter because of it. And unfortunately, it just seems to me that, I'm still holding back. I want to see how he comes back and what he's able to do going forward. But it just seems like, I don't know. I don't know if I can't. I don't know if he's coming. I don't know if he'll ever come back to what he once was.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. I when I would watch Kamaru, I would always be like, this guy's just can't be beaten.
Yeah.
And he really didn't have to deal with the loss as much. Like, we don't know what his capabilities are outside of that, being so dominant.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see. I mean, like, naturally, it's like in the position he's in, he's gonna have to go against a lot of those guys that he did beat.
Yes.
To kind of work his way back up, and some of those guys that he did beat are absolute killers.
No question.
And have progressively gotten better.
Yeah.
Seeing him go against
Beneil Dariush.
Beneil Dariush versus
Oliveira, you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who he beat in the last fight.
Yeah.
But we're talking Kamaru, right?
Yeah, we're talking Kamaru now.
Yeah, he beat Beneil Dariush pretty bad. I thought that was going to be a better fight for Beneil. Beneil's pretty talented in the grappling, but he didn't have anything.
No, he didn't have anything for him, which I'm not really surprised. I wasn't really surprised. You were a little bit more surprised than I was. I was expecting maybe a little bit more a better stand-up.
Beneil's like this, like decorated grappler,
No, yes. Yeah, but Oliveira, man, his jiu-jitsu is, I think, what always made him what he was. Granted, he's got great strength, but it was the grappling that was really, always his strong suit.
I was a weight class down, wasn't I?
You were weight class. You were going a weight class up, or no?
I went a weight.
You went a weight class down.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
But who
You were talking about like more of like a Gilbert Burns. You're talking more of like
no, he had this.
Kobe Covington.
Who did? Damn, man, he went Masvidal.
Yes, Masvidal dominated Masvidal. Leon Edwards was the last one that really twice in a row, dominated him. And then I think they're talking. What are they talking next for Leon? Colby.
Oh yeah. Well, I know there's some smack talk going on between them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
They haven't scheduled anything yet. I thought something was coming up with them.
I'm not. I feel like all I've seen is like back and forth talk.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. Yeah. Why did I do that? Who am I seeing in my mind that Kamaru knocked out? That has. Oh man! All right, I'm drawing a blank.
That's all right. No worries.
The look on your face told me everything I needed to know. I was like, abort mission, bro. Abort mission.
No, I think because of we watch as much MMA as we do. It's like sometimes there's some crossover. Especially as you look at some of these up and comers. Like there's constantly up and comers coming through the ranks that are just when you thought, like Leon. Leon. Before Leon, Usman was like, he could not, like you said earlier, he couldn't be beaten.
Yeah.
Everybody, he was fighting guys twice. He beat Colby twice. He beat,
it is Kobe that I'm seeing in my head.
Yeah. He beat Burns twice.
Yeah.
He was dominated. Masvidal, he just embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't even, I think Masvidal had that one, that first round knockout in
the flying knee.
Yeah, the flying knee. And I think after that, he just against really a guy that we kind of figured as time went on, we realized that he just really wasn't an MMA fighter.
I'll tell you what, though, Masvidal took that and ran.
Oh, no question.
He just parlayed the heck out of that bet, dude, because that man has a liquor.
Yep. His own
organization.
Yeah, his own MMA organization. Yeah.
I mean, he's getting a lot of like older dudes. But,
yeah, no, and he's getting some promo from it too. I think you're hearing about it.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about it. So, but you're right. I think he took that to a whole nother level. And I'm not taking anything away from the guy. But I think his wrestling really isn't. It was never anything really special. He just had, he had hands. He had power, a lot of power in his hands.
He's been fighting since he was a kid, man.
He was in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then before that,
slice days.
yeah, back and then before the UFC, he was in what was the other Strike Force. Yeah, Strike Force. Before they folded, I just don't know that. Well, he's retired. Is he retired now? Is Masvidal retired?
Mm-hmm.
He is. Yeah. I just don't ever see him.
Well, he doesn't. The BMF belt now belongs to Gaethje.
I know. Which is rightfully so.
Dude,
He's so nasty, dude. He's so nasty.
I wish that what I wish for UFC is like how the BMF title lives. Like it's currently in a weight class.
Yep.
But how the absolute in our grappling tournaments that we watch. Like I wish there was like an absolute version of that.
Dude,
I feel like the BMF should be like an absolute.
Absolute, yeah.
But then they kind of like it's like the heavyweights have a chance, right?
Yes, 100%. I couldn't. I think it would be hard to watch John Jones fight. Exactly. Or just even Gaethje.
Yeah.
Even a fight like that, it's Gaethje's. Don't get me wrong. That last Gaethje fight was amazing.
Yeah.
You saw a much more reserved, calm Gaethje, and I think I would love to see him fight the winner of Oliveira Makhachev too.
Yeah.
I think that I think
he deserves it.
I agree. Who else is there? That deserves that fight. I think he showed us that he dominated Portier.
Yeah.
I think Portier was going into that fight thinking that it was going to just be a brawl, like the normal Gaethje. Because Portier beat Gaethje in their first fight, and I think that's what he was expecting. And when he didn't get that, he was very confused.
Yeah.
Because
he pieced him up in the first one.
Yes.
Even though it was a brawl, but he just, he used technique.
Yes.
This time the technique was used on him.
100%. And I think Gaethje's got good wrestling defense, good grappling defense. And I think I would really like to see, I know Oliveira beat Gaethje pretty handedly in their first fight, but I think a reserved Gaethje gives Oliveira a different fight and gives Makhachev a different fight, I think, too.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting match. But going into, at this point, I think, we've covered everything coming up, including, quickly we could talk about, what do you think about John Jones and Stipe?
I mean, Stipe's got hammers for hands,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, man. I feel like John Jones is just gonna do John Jones things.
I know. That reach is dangerous.
He's a panther even at the weight that he's currently at. The dude is just far superior in combat to most people.
No question. And I think that I think his reach is good. I think his wrestling, although Stipe has good grappling, he's a good wrestler. I just think, did you get a chance to see that Gordon Ryan clip with John Jones when they were grappling?
Yeah.
Dude, that was,
That's what I mean. Dude's a panther, man.
I know.
Dude's a panther.
I know.
I would like to see if I could just put two people together that are from different times, like a Cain Velasquez versus
John Jones. Yeah. I think that's a different fight. And I really would have liked to see Francis Ngannou and John Jones.
Come on, man.
I think Ngannou did us a disservice by going over to boxing.
And now he's going to get pieced up by Fury.
I think he is too, but I also think that over time, and we saw it against with Ngannou and who did Ngannou beat? Cyril Gane. Yeah, when he fought Cyril Gane, Ngannou showed that grappling he was really working on his wrestling.
Yeah.
And he was able to do things with it that we never would have thought that.
Hard work beats talent.
Yeah, man.
And going back to that.
No question. And they had I don't know if you caught a clip of Tyson in the ring with Ngannou. Yeah.
Mike Tyson's strongly backing Francis Ngannou.
I know he is.
The only thing that I think that there's a part of me that's like rooting for. I am rooting for Francis Ngannou, right?
You are. See, I'm not.
I am.
Okay, fair enough.
But the part of me that feels like he has a chance is the part that sees how not seriously Tyson Fury's taking him.
You don't think he is though?
I don't think so, man. He took a fight 2 months after him, and I feel like he's like thinking that this is like going to be a tune-up,
I could see that being the case, but I don't think that's going to take away from the fact that Tyson Fury is a worker.
You think he's preparing the same way he prepared for like a Deontay Wilder?
I do.
Really?
I do. Yeah. I think he's a professional. And he's proven that time and time again. He's a really great boxer.
He's good.
He's solid. Yeah, man. And he's one of the boxers I think where there was a time period where the heavyweight division was it was in the shadows a little bit. And I think between him, Deontay Wilder, obviously, and then who's the other
British dude.
I can't think. Anthony. Yes. I think the three of them have kind of brought that heavyweight division back a little bit, and I think adding a little Francis Ngannou makes it even that much more interesting.
Dude, the pictures of them two side by side is insane.
I know it is.
The physique.
I know it is.
Like the physique tells you like he doesn't stand a chance.
I know.
You realize the superiority.
But that was in all. That was against Wilder. That was against Anthony. I mean, it was always that. I think that's where he was always. It almost looks like I'm dating myself a little bit. But Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia. He's an
very odd-looking dude. But was effective in that division. I mean, obviously, before he got his arm broken by Mir.
That was one of the worst breaks.
Amazing fight. If some of you younger fans haven't seen that break, it was a very and you could hear that break.
Oh yeah.
In that fight as well. So if you guys get a chance, check that out. Tim Sylvia. And he has that, like, putting them next to each other, they have a very similar body type.
Yeah.
No offense, to Tyson Fury.
Childbearing.
Yes, definitely.